Huh?
gosh. Oh, I can't wait for this to be over.
Huh?
I can't wait for this to be over.
Be positive. Okay, guys, so today is our last and final wedding planning meeting. We've been meeting over the course of several months now. I think 3 or 4 months we've been meeting, and we go into these meetings for like an hour or so, and we pick out floral arrangements, we pick out the food, the tablecloth, and that's one of the things I've liked so far about wedding planning in Japan is you basically go to a wedding venue and they have like a set package where they have a florist that's on call. They have like all the people, like the restaurant, the caterers, the vendors are all there at the with the wedding venue. So you don't have to go and look and try and find places, which I think is more stressful. I know we do that in America, but in Japan it's more of like a set package. But the only downside with Japan that I've found, and not to complain because the service has been pretty okay, it's been pretty good, but one of the only downsides I have found is that because everything's a set package, it's not very flexible. So for example, like if I want my friend who's also a person of color to do my makeup, and I tell them I have someone who can do it for me instead, they can't remove it from the package. So even if my friend is going to do my makeup and my hair because she's a person of color, she understands my skin tone and my hair, they're still going to charge me a fee because that's part of the plan, the set package. We also cannot, in Japan, it seems, I've spoken to other friends who've gotten married here, you can't do food tasting. That's not a thing here, so we can't even taste the food that our guests are going to be eating. We just have to trust the judgment of this place. But I really like this place because it is a restaurant as well. So, and it seems pretty popular, and it's in Hibiya, like right by the Imperial Palace. So I'm sure the food is good, but that was something. One of the culture shocks that I had to experience was, you for your wedding day, you get to try food. You get to try the cake, you get to taste all of that stuff, and that's part of one of the fun things you look forward to when you're planning a wedding, but you can't do that in Japan. So that was kind of disappointing. And also, there's no dress rehearsal. I had to specifically ask them to please let us do a dress rehearsal, and they allowed us to do it 1 hour. They're letting us do it 1 hour before we walk down the aisle, so it's going to be a jam-packed day. Like, we have to be there from 1 p.m. and the wedding is over, I think, by 8 p.m. The wedding reception is over by 8 p.m. So it's going to be a full day for us. But yeah, we couldn't do the dress rehearsal ahead of time. Also, like, I guess with these Japanese wedding venues, they also have a wedding store, a boutique that they have a partnership with. So they're going to recommend you to go there to rent a wedding dress, because in Japan people don't want to waste money on buying the dress, but renting is way more expensive. Like, to rent a dress for like a 30-minute ceremony is like $2,000, whereas you could buy a dress for less than that you can keep as a keepsake and pass it down to your children. And so they recommended us to go to this place in Ginza, which is already a pretty expensive place in Japan, and we rented a wedding dress and a tuxedo, but that was just for the pre-wedding photo shoot. So we had to do that. And then also, like, I don't know, it's like every time you invite an extra person in Japan, when people go to weddings, the invite is usually only for them. It's kind of rude or looked down upon for them to bring someone. So yeah, we only could invite like families and friends, and if they want to bring an extra person, it's like over $100 for each person. And one thing I also noticed that's different from America is I think the time that you can rent the venue is much shorter. I think in America you can rent a venue for like 5 or 6 hours and it's not that much, but in Tokyo it's pretty expensive. I think our whole wedding ceremony is only like 4 hours, and It's like a little over $10,000 just to do that. So it is quite more, and that's only for like 30 people. Whereas I think in America you could get that amount of time, you can get 5 hours and pay that price for like 50 to 100 people. But no, in Japan it's only like 30 people, and it's pretty expensive. So that's something I've been trying to process. That's kind of a cultural shock. And also in Japan, unlike in the in the States, after the bride does the ceremony, says I do, she'll come out in her reception dress, right? But in Japan, the reception dress, if you're doing a Western style wedding, is going to be a big color dress. So you have to rent 2 dresses, and it's very expensive. And in order for, at least at this venue, for them to, they charge you a fee to store your wedding dress and reception dress, which is like $500 each. And that is pretty expensive, and I couldn't understand that. So there's been things like that where it's like, it feels like a set package and plan, and it's very inflexible. But the good thing is you don't have to go and find a vendor or florist or DJ by yourself, and they automatically provide you with a wedding planner. So that's been some of the things I've really appreciated, and I'm trying to stay positive and focus on that. So today we're going to go in for our last wedding planning meeting, and this place has been one of the most flexible, because we did look at another place, and it's been one of the most flexible, where we keep asking for like to make additions, like we want to do communion before we get married, we want to do the Jewish breaking of the glass, since my husband has Jewish ancestry, Jewish heritage, and they're letting us do that. But yeah, it's not as flexible as I think a wedding in the US would have been. But I think, it's cool that they have everything like a set package. It's easier. It makes your wedding planning easier, but also a little bit more stressful, because you have to stick to the plan that they have. Even if you want to omit things or you don't find certain things necessary, they're still going to charge you money for it. Yeah, and you definitely get less time, and it's just as expensive, and less people, and it's just as expensive. And there was something else from this wedding process that I've learned. I guess it's just sometimes I feel like I don't have a lot of control, because it's in a foreign country, in a foreign language, and no one really speaks English, so it's been hard to communicate. But we do have some Japanese friends who've been helping us, and they've apparently been able to understand my broken Japanese, so that's been a thing. But yeah, it's a very interesting experience. But I'm looking forward to doing the final meeting and getting the final estimate, and I'll share that with you guys later, and to just prepare for the big day. So, do you have anything you want to add as the groom?
The groom?
Mm-hmm. About the wedding planning process here in Tokyo?
Oh, it's a pain. They make things very complicated, and like, we started doing planning like since
January, I think.
January?
But they wouldn't let us really come in until March, because it was too
which is
soon.
ridiculous. And
So I felt like I was stressed, because with the language barrier, like I was thinking, like, there's so many questions I have, and I'm worried about like the table settings. Are we doing those? And the music and the floral arrangements and all that stuff. But I had to wait a few months before they could let me have my first meeting, and
Yeah.
it feels very strict with the rules, like what you can and cannot
so
do.
strict to the point that it doesn't. You know what is here's the big problem. Like these wedding planning services in Japan, like, it's so strict to the point that it feels like it's not your wedding. It's like the way they want. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, like I did have to sign a contract that said that if I was seen as too difficult, they could drop me. And I felt like kind of frustrated. Like in Japan, you feel, even though you're the customer, you're the bride, I feel like I have to cooperate and kind of do it their way, or I'm seen as kind of a troublemaker if I have too many questions, or I would like to make this suggestion to do it this way. But I mean, also at the end of the day, it's pretty nice to have a wedding venue where they have all the vendors and the restaurant there. We're also having our dog participate in the wedding, which is pretty cool. It's very interesting. Very interesting. We have to travel an hour and a half to each one of these meetings. Well, thankfully it's the last one, so. But I'm excited.
I'm
for
excited
the
it's going to be
wedding.
over. A real one.
Yeah.
You can check this out too
Cool.
after this.
Yeah. It's cool.
This looks great. We need to pinpoint this.
Yeah.
Here. How do you screen?
Huh?
I can't wait for this to be over.
Huh?
Can't wait for this to be over.
Hi, be positive.
Because they will close later.
Yeah.
And they will take up time.
What?
It's not real. It's wax. It's fake.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not real. It's fake.
So funny.
Why?
Oh, this is crazy. We just got done with our wedding.
You know that kid,
And we went to our we're at a Kaiten sushi restaurant in Ikebukuro, but they're not using the conveyor belts. We just get assigned tables. Isn't that crazy?
Stupid for doing that.
I love that. This is so good. In Japan, you just have to order from the iPad. It's awesome.
These are green tea. But you put it in one of these, so or you can just don't do that. But you get about 1 or 2 scoops of these. Don't put too much. Trust me, it's really strong, and you chug it right there. I hope it's warm.
It is.
Oh yeah, it's hot water, by the way.
Wow.
Now, these are nice to have to drink when you're having sushi, of course, but usually I like beer too, or maybe I think beer is the best.
I guess only if you want it at your own risk.
That's actually, you know what?
They let it come at your own
No.
risk.
Actually, this is smart. They updated it. It used to be a conveyor belt going around. Now this is just going individual immediately. So the kid doesn't completely grab. They won't have time to do it. So it's just quickly. This is an update. This is acceptable, I think. This is kind of order it right here. Is my hair okay? Mm-hmm. So whenever you come to Japan, if you want a quick access sushi restaurant like this, like a fast food sushi restaurant, okay, Gaten is decent. This is just my opinion and my own taste. But my recommendation, go for Gaten. I want a beer too, actually.
Me too.
To celebrate. You want a beer too? Ooh, tuna. What else? Salmon, fluke fin. Oh my goodness. Sold out. This, you know what? I remember turning it on.
All of our food. So good.
I went upstairs.